I mean, all that stuff imprinted on me as well, along with like all the Vince Guaraldi, Charlie Brown stuff, and like, you know, kids figuring things out for themselves, like this sophisticated jazz, you know, undercurrent. I'm all about it.
Sealed records are, it's like throwing a baby in a casket. If you don't, that's how he said it. You know, rural psych.
Rural psych.
I haven't heard that one yet. I have.
You got multiple copies.
I know. Doubles are whack.
So let me ask you this: shrink wrap.
Okay, so Boogie, right? And you had Boogie, and then you had Modern Soul at the same time.
Yeah, it goes downhill fast. It goes right off a cliff.
I just love that he swore off drums, like he swore off drugs, like
or air. That's the funkiest version of Greensleeves you ever heard in your life.
Seriously? Oh my god!
Wow.
So I have this and another one.
Is this like gettable? No.
This is ridiculous.
Because I want it like bad.
Like, it's an amazing record. It's an amazing record for like maybe 500 people on Earth. Like, I don't know. And I'm one of those people. I don't know any of the history. This is me making stuff up. But and he kind of disses them at the end of the track.
Yes. Welcome to another record roundtable. Again, I'm not sure what camera to look at. I think I'm going to look over here this time. And so we got Max Ochester back again. And this time he brought us over to Zachariah Ohora's place. And Zach is an amazing artist, and he is a really cool guy, and also a vinyl record collector, of course, because that is what is always the topic of these videos. We're each bringing 3 vinyl records again, just like we did last time, and we're gonna talk about Zach and get into his artwork, and he's even got, you got a cartoon and stuff going on.
Yep.
So this is gonna be pretty awesome. So we'll start this out here. I mean, like, let's have you introduce, or let's have you talk a little bit with Zach. Or
sure, yeah. I mean, so Zach, we met, he used to come into the shop when I had the shop, and then, you know, just kind of in and out, and then we re-met recently at 48 Record Bar, wasn't that?
Yeah.
When I came in there and you were spinning. Most recently, Aaron's video.
Aaron's video, are you allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. Aaron Levinson, who hopefully will get on here soon, he has...
producer of the Philadelphia Experiment and Detroit Experiment and lots of other awesome things.
Spanish Harlem Orchestra, which he won 2 Grammys on. Aaron's doing a film called Dig We Must, and he's interviewing collectors from all over the country to talk about their record. Actually, it's more about how records ruin your life. I think that's the thing about it.
That's a perfect thing.
So
It's worth it.
Yeah, so Aaron, peace out to Aaron. So we were, Zach and I were hanging out at this trailer release party that Aaron threw, and towards the end, I guess we started getting into a conversation about like awesome Christian rock records.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, we had just done that first record roundtable, and I was like, let's. I knew I had come over here. Zach was kind enough to give me his most recent book I passed it on to Anderson Pock, who was in town recently at the Man. And one of my little side hustles is I provide gift bags of Philly music and Philly artists for the artists that come through the Man. So I hit up Zach like day of, and I was like, dude, I'm giving Anderson Pock a gift bag. Can I have one? You know, can I get your book? He signed it to him. It was fucking awesome. It was great. And I definitely want to talk about that book because I just, you know, I absolutely love this book. And the book, the whole inspiration came from a record, right?
Yep. This 45, it's a Paul Horn with Hide of the Whale 45. And this is the book that just came out.
Haida and Paul Horn?
Yeah.
So you want to give us, give us a
So,
backstory on this.
So Paul Horn, the jazz musician of Inside, where he played inside the Taj Mahal and inside the Pyramid, and, you know, on a million records. He moves with his family to British Columbia, to this little island of Victoria, and they have Sealand of the Pacific is the name of the aquarium. It's like down the street. He's got kids. Now, I fudged some of the story for the book to make it more kid-friendly, but in real life, he went down. There's this guy, Dr. Paul Spong, who was studying orcas and like how, incredibly sophisticated their language is. and he was like taking LSD. I don't know if he was getting into the orcas, but in an attempt to talk to them and realized they responded to music and stuff. Wow. He knew Paul Horn, calls Paul Horn, Paul come down and play, and he was going to record all this stuff. And there's video of it that the Canadian government made, and they're clearly responding to the music. And basically, one of the whales dies. Paul is away on, they kind of develop this relationship, and he's away on tour. And he comes back, and the whale has stopped eating and is like on a hunger strike. And Paul Horn comes down and plays his flute to him every day, and finally like gets his spirits back. And the whale starts to take food and eat, and he like saves the whale's life. Wow. Yeah, and
that's amazing. And so that's what
this story is about, and it's an amazing true story. Yeah,
man, that is so cool. And this is a great picture.
And the only reason I knew about it is like somehow I came across a picture of that, and I was like, "What is this?" And I, went down a Google rabbit hole, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's Paul Horn! Oh my God, there's footage of him," and just this is like a video still, and then there's also a recording of it that C-Lab put out for a little bit, and I tracked a copy down, and the rest they say is history or whatever.
That is pretty sick, man. I mean, that's like the coolest stories ever with vinyl, man. It's like, and it's funny because I don't know, we shouldn't even get into this negative topic, but have you ever seen that documentary Blackfish?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I learned a lot about orcas in that, and like how intelligent they are, and
these orcas are in that movie because they end up getting sold to SeaWorld or whatever. Right. Yeah.
Wow. And what year was that?
This is like early 70s, like maybe 71 or 73. But the good thing that came out of that is that Dr. Spong and through that research, they were like, oh, we're going to research orcas in the wild. They should not be in captivity. And he helped sort of start the Save the Whale, movement because of these two whales and what happened with them.
That's crazy. So Whale Song that was Whale Song is one of your books, right? Yeah. And then you've got other books that you've put out that are like children's books, all illustrations. Do you write the stories too, or do you just do the illustrations?
I do both. Sometimes I write and illustrate. Sometimes I illustrate other people's stuff too.
Nice. Very cool. And now these books are getting turned into a cartoon, or how's it all work?
A totally separate series of a character. It got turned into an animation series for PBS Kids, and it's an autistic raccoon who collects things, and his fuzzy friends, and they get into adventures or whatever.
It's getting released soon,
and it's getting released next week, about a week from tomorrow. So November 14th. It's been 10 years in the making. Fuzzy Town is like my overall umbrella brand of myself, but it's called Carl the Collector.
And the record connection there is Zach went out, and you can tell us the story because I don't even know, but he found Max and Vince from Eraserhood Sounds, which is a small label in Philly, dope little label that have been putting out some really great stuff, and he asked them to do the soundtrack for the show.
Yeah, it's amazing. They did an amazing job, and it's like got that great sort of like library music vibe with soundtrack, like funky but understated and just like perfect. It's great.
I love that you're a record collector, and also we were hanging out here a little bit and getting to feel some of your vibe of like what you're into, because I remember when I was a kid and like Sesame Street, all the different things that had like the funkiest music in it. I even have some of those Sesame Street records, and like like the pinball.
Yeah, pinball the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9
Pointer
10
Sisters.
11 12.
Yeah, man, oh man, it's so good. And like that's some of my favorite like stuff from my childhood. So it's great that that's like being re-interjected into things too, man, with a vinyl collector.
I mean, all that stuff imprinted on me as well, along with like all the Vince Guaraldi, Charlie Brown stuff, and like kids figuring things out for themselves, like the sophisticated jazz, undercurrent. I'm all about it.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
And then Sesame Street, you had writers that were just writing and composing music, but then they would bring on these amazing artists, these big stars. Stevie Wonder is the one that really stands out. But I mean, the connection, I think, between these kids' books and good music has always been there, which is incredible because, that's what kids need is the music to help them along.
It's funny too because, and that kind of is a sort of a good segue. I mean, like I don't want to start out the list here because I want you to start out the list today. But
guess first.
guess first. But I mean, I should have brought the. There's a great compilation called the ABCs of Kid Soul.
Oh, nice.
From Numero Group, and we'll talk more about them in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, like.
Is that one of the ones you brought?
No, but
Oh, okay.
I should have, and I was like, I literally had it in my hand today.
I bugged out about Kitty Funk Records a long time ago. So like Cindy and the Playmates, which is just phenomenal. And then there was Pig Latin by Angela Simpson. Is like this girl over this funk beat, just like singing Pig Latin. It's incredible.
That's hilarious. That's so funny. And also, like, I mean, we're in Zach's awesome little art studio here, or his little like nook or record. What do you call this?
This is my studio. This is Fuzzy Town headquarters.
Nice. And so this is like awesome vinyl record collection and awesome collection of amazing things, Sesame Street, as we talked about.
And so one other thing, just mentioned, another connection Zach has to records is you did a cover for Wax Poetic record, right? For Nizelle Brothers.
Right.
Do you have that out still?
Wax Poetics over here. Is that where?
No, this is for a record of 45.
Oh, 45.
One of the first 45s that they put out. It's The Moments, Baby I Want You, back with Pray For Me.
The Moments like on Stang.
Yeah, Moments on Stang, but before they were on Stang, they cut this record with the Mizell brothers. So both the Mizels are on it.
Larry
and Fonz.
Fonz, right.
And so I did the cover painting. I did some work for them, like from time to time, and I lived in Brooklyn at the time, and they had an opening party at the first I forget the name of the bookstore down in Dumbo, and both of my Zell brothers were there for it, and they signed and I think, is it Fonts? Oh, that's what's his name's they did the Doom food cover. Jason, what's his name? But like they both signed it, and I think Fonz had just had a stroke or whatever, so you can see, or if it's Larry or Fonz, it's like, you know, yeah. I mean, I when I saw that, I was like, damn, that was really nice that he like.
Wow, he even still did that. Man, that is amazing. Cool. I'm a huge fan of Wax Poetics, and again, back talking about CTI. I have the Wax Poetics that featured all their CTI covers and everything. I saw your Wax Poetics section over there. That's pretty sick, man.
Just noticed the other day I have a couple missing issues. I loaned out, and I was like, wow, what? You know, I did different illustrations for them, and I did one of my favorite guitarists of all time is Grant Green.
Oh yeah, me too, man.
I did an interview with Grant Green Jr. For the pitch it to the magazine. They're like, yeah, cool, we'll do that. And I call him up, and he had moved out of New York to Atlanta at the time. So got him on the phone, and this is like, I don't know, early 2000s or whatever. And I didn't really have I never done an interview before or anything. Like I went to Radio Shack, got like one of those like spy things. You like suction cup, you like plug it into the phone. I don't think my phone had speaker or something. I don't know what. And so I do this whole interview with him, and in the middle of it, I dissed George Benson. Like I love George Benson, but I kind of dissed on George Benson, being like, "Your dad is the shit." George Benson started singing, he did breezing, and then it went to the smooth jazz. And why do you do that? And he's like, "Well, you got to live or whatever." We hang up. It was a really nice conversation. I pressed the tape on literally the tape cassette, and it did not record. Oh. So I call him back up. I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry, but that didn't record right. Can we do it over again? So we do it over again. I diss on George Benson again. And then I hang up, and I don't know I guess Google was going on back then. And I'm transcribing the whole thing and putting it together. And then I'm looking at information for him, and I realize that George Benson is his godfather.
Oh. Nice.
And I'm like, why did I have to say that? Like, I love George Benson, but I was just being like, I love his Jack McDuff era, but like, why later?
Sure, yeah.
And then years later, I realized how good the later stuff is, and that I was just being like oddly like record collector prejudice, and I had no idea that it was his godfather. And he's like, So I was that asshole, but I'm proud of it anyway.
That is super cool. I mean, that's amazing. That's an amazing story. And I love Grant Green. Also, I also love George Benson. But still, I mean, like this is great, man. This is really cool. That's a very cool cover.
Thank you.
So very cool, man.
Thanks.
So let's get into what record you have.
All right, so I was thinking of a couple different ways to go with the show, and like being up against the historian here, I'm like, I'm not gonna try to trot out some rare, weird stuff. I'm gonna go the other way, because I know you're gonna cover it and it's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna like put out a few records that are like super common records that are cheap heat that I love, like records that
People love Cheap Heat.
Cheap Heat is.
yeah, it's the best, and it sounds better when it's like when you're like, I got this for $4, and you know, and it's that good. But this actually isn't one of them, but it's in the
The rare
vicinity.
one first. No, I'm just kidding.
This isn't rare by any means, but this is a good example of like a super badass record that there's not a lot of information about. It's not expensive, and you'll find it in like easy listening or something. Like people won't know where to like box it. I'm gonna play. It's called Sapodillo Punch, Steel Soul, and like being an artist, the cover, you know, art for covers is always, you know, catches my mind. There's like some poor man's Peter Max action here, or whatever.
It's kind of got some 70s, like, yeah, Peter Max or, you know, the Beatles
Yeah.
esque kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's Philips records, and it like, you know, it almost looks like you bought a TV and they give you this record.
That's exactly what I was just thinking. I was like, whoa, that looks like a promo for a TV. Or
It's like one of those ones where you're like, I don't know what this is, but it's got a bunch of covers of like, you know, Beatles songs or whatever. Like, it's got to be good. And it's steel drums because it's Steel Soul.
is a compilation, or is it just one?
So this one-off record,
That group.
it's probably a studio band. I can't find much about them. Maybe you can check the. But I'm gonna play a cover because I love a good cover of a song that you've heard a million times, and then you hear an amazing cover of it and you love it all over again. I'm gonna play "Hold On, I'm Coming," which is the lead cut off of this.
They didn't even like, there's no like sugarcoating what it is. They literally just said steel drum band with plugged in guitars and soul voices. Not like, you know, soulful sounds from the, you know.
I love that though.
It probably literally is like a giveaway for buying furniture. This era, this is 1969. It's like I wouldn't be surprised if they're kind of that sleeve. If it, you know, it's like the demo record that comes with your console or something. I don't know, because they're not giving anybody credit. No one's getting publishing rights or.
I'm not usually that big of a fan of like steel drum stuff, but that was like way more funk band driven with like steel drums just playing the melodies basically, which is really cool. Like that bass line was real sick, and that was some awesome stuff.
The steel drum spectrum goes from like straight up steel drums, that's all they're playing, and they're playing like the hits of the island, you know, to like hardcore funk records that have steel drums on top.
Yeah, and that was cool. I mean, that's definitely one of those, like, for if you found that for like $4, I mean, that's something that I would be so proud of to have. Just like,
Yeah, you're like, this is even better than expected.
What do you got?
So this is the Numero Eccentric Soul series, and the Eccentric Soul series is like a ridiculous, like, they have like 15 of them now or something like that, and they basically just find these you know, extremely rare record labels and put out compilations of them. So this one is on the Bandit label. And are you familiar at all? Have you ever heard of the Bandit?
Yeah, I've heard about all that.
Yeah, and so like this one's really cool. I just recently got this one because I wanted to start collecting all of these Eccentric Soul like compilations. Plus this is volume 3, and it's like a box set almost. So you get like a really thick book that has all of this information about the entire Bandit label. And plus one of the records on here, which is the one that we'll get into, is from the Majestic Arrows. So it's like a whole album of just the Majestic Arrows, and the track is called Time Machine. So it's just a real sick track. But I don't know much about this label, but I have had this compilation. Like, I mean, I've been listening to it digitally now for years. I think it came out originally in like 2006.
All those eccentric soul comps that they put together are so amazing.
Yeah, we got to give a shout out to Dante Carfagna.
What's his name?
Dante Carfagna. He's one of the most massive record hounds. He goes all over the place. He's got a podcast called Dog Patch. If you guys haven't heard that, you should listen to Dog Patch. And he'll go out, he'll buy, I can't remember if this is exactly right, but he I think in DJ Shadow split like a 600,000 piece 45 collection. Oh, yeah. And they whittled it down to like 60,000, split them 30,000 a piece. And then like he just goes through that and researches. He's on, I think his Discogs name is Glassbe, Glassbe. And any obscure, rare record that I find, if it's not an ungooglyable, it's because he made the listing.
He made it.
Yeah. And so like he's dope, man.
That's what's awesome. And I mean, like these guys, they get into like all kinds of new stuff too, with like punk and like rock stuff, and they're starting to branch out of the soul stuff because I mean they put out pretty much everything there is to put out. This is the track 4 on this one, if you want to throw that on.
I'll also give a shout out to Rob. Rob Seaver is dope too, man. Rob is the guy who runs Numero, and Ken is the other guy. So those guys are all just good guys. They collect massive amount of records.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I wonder what, like, I mean, it'd be great to talk to them sometime about like how they've gotten so much access to some of these tapes or whatever. I guess you just find them, right? You just money.
Yeah, man. So is this off of an album? Like, did it come out?
I don't know. The Majestic Arrows thing comes in a separate. There's like basically a whole separate cover too with it. Just bring that out.
Sick.
So this is just the Majestic Arrows cover.
Great cover.
Sounds like is it a Christian thing?
It's very gospel. I mean, it's very like, I'm pretty sure that most of the other tracks on the Majestic Arrows stuff is all like very religious. But again, it's like religious in the 70s was very cool.
So this is only available in that set?
I think so.
Yeah. I feel like Chicago and Indianapolis are like such crossroads, like incredible record digging is always available there.
It is. I mean, could you imagine finding this? Like, could you imagine digging and just finding this and you're like, what? Like, that's how Numero makes their entire business, is finding those records, you know? So it's just really cool.
It's awesome. I love and appreciate that dudes are willing to put in that work and do that, and I'm the beneficiary of it, you know, because it's like I can't dedicate my life to that, but I love the fruits of that labor.
I agree. And it's funny because I thought about that. Have you ever seen the Dusty Fingers compilations? There's like 30 of them or whatever. I have them digitally, and I've thought about that, of like how much time they would have had to have spent in like attics. And I mean, you've been there, you know what I mean? Like, just like, you know, in these hot attics or in these basements of like, you know.
It's never ending, man.
Yeah.
It's insane. Well, that's, I mean, with the Christian rock stuff, right? So a lot of people don't, for the longest, have not touched gospel, but now black gospel is, you know, being sampled by everybody. Kanye was the one who really blew it up, but everybody else has sampled, you know, Anderson .Paak and Knowledge for No Worries and all that stuff, right? But the white gospel stuff, the Zion, right? Is it Zion rock, right?
Yeah.
That, like, there is some wild stuff, and there's some really kind of out there fuzzy stuff. You know, rural psych is another like genre. Rural psych.
I haven't heard that one yet, but I'm on board already.
Yeah. So, and the one I have a digital copy of it is the Son of David record that we were talking about. I wish I've never found that in the wild. And here's my crazy story about him. Was a friend of mine sent me the digital copy. I love the record. I contacted him through Facebook. He gave me his email, emailing back and forth maybe 2 or 3 times, and I emailed him and he didn't get back to me. And this is this really like Christian, really great Christian rock record from Philly. And I was like, do you have the tapes? He said, yes. Do you want to do a reissue? Yes. I was all like hyped on it. I get on Facebook like after a couple days, and on his Facebook page, his wife is like, his name's Larry. Larry had a heart attack on Saturday. He's dead. And like my email's like probably in his inbox of like, let's, you know, I wanted to meet up and find pictures and blah, blah, blah. So, but yeah, so that's it. Well, let me, yeah, I think if I can get to her, yes.
Brutal, man. So what'd you bring?
All right.
What did you bring? Yeah.
So this is pretty, so all Philly. Here's my criteria for today. And I went through a couple different. I wanted to do Philly lounge records that would have like banging covers of classic songs. But then I kind of evolved past that, and I wanted to do local Philly artists doing songs, some covers, some one original, 2 covers of the 3 different records. But the only real requirement was it had to be played live, and there has to be audience reaction to your song.
That's the best.
So I have 3 records. 2 of them are covers. One is an original, but all of them at the end, they have this amazing audience clap and appreciation. It's fucking great. So this is a pastor named Father John D'Amico. This is live at the Painted Bride, which was an art center down in Old City, and you're gonna play the first track.
The Painted Bride.
Yeah, the Painted Bride.
What a great name.
Beautiful. It's no longer in.
It doesn't exist anymore.
But this is, you'll recognize this, but this is the best cover I've heard out of the original, and a lot of people have covered this song.
Nice. I love the drawing on the cover.
Is this signed?
Yeah, all his records are signed. He must have signed everything.
1989.
So anyway, this guy's walking his dog. He said he walked by this house in South Philly, and there were tapes in the trash, reel-to-reel tapes. And he said he just grabbed them. He took them home, and I think they're like entire tapes of him. He sent me copies, and I listened to them, but I never really paid attention to it. So I'm gonna go back and listen to them at some point.
But the Painted Bride.
I used to work there. I was the lighting director at the Painted Bride.
Really?
Where was that?
It's second in Race. Yeah, like right north of the bridge.
Yeah.
It has the Isaiah Zagar thing around the outside. And that's why they claim they were closing, because the upkeep on that piece was too much, cost-wise. All right, we got it. The clap's coming in. Yeah. Yeah. Every record has the clap at the end.
That's awesome.
That was my one criteria.
Especially when they like fade the levels up to make sure you hear it.
Yeah, right.
I was thinking about, I have a gospel record that was recorded live at the Met, and it's amazing because the 45, there's two 45s off the record, but one of them, the 45s, don't have hand clapping. But on the record, in between, the dead silence in between, they added the same exact hand clapping track in between each song.
In between each song.
In between each song, so at the end, it's the same, like, yeah! Yeah.
You get the same guys.
That's like those live Kiss records or whatever. Are like that.
That's fantastic. And that's also mixed in Folsom, PA.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what it says on there too. That's crazy, man.
Is that? Can you find this around?
sure.
Is it like a reasonable?
It's still, it's even like $10-15. It's not.
I'm gonna pick that up. And I love that. Like, is that like a promo for Encounter Jazz?
Encounter Jazz Reverie is they're good. They've got a couple funk things, and then Susan Cloud is also still around. Tyrone Brown, who plays on the Susan Cloud record, he was in Catalyst, and he's been in the shop. He's a really sweet guy.
Very awesome.
There you go, live at
the Painted Bride.
All right, what do you got?
For that. I'm gonna swing a totally different way, and I don't know what this is, but it's more cheap heat. It's an Earth Tone recording company. It's a 12-inch. It says disco. It's called Tongue Twist and 10. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but I have.
You got multiple copies.
I know doubles are whack, but this one was sealed. But once I found out it was $1.99, I got another copy just because the B-side is that good. And this one has the original Zaire price sticker on it that was $1.99 back in the day.
Right.
I think this is like 1983, and it's kind of like a novelty boogie disco record, but they basically like take Mount Airy groove and a couple other cuts you've heard before and like jam them into one song. Wow. And it's killer.
Life is a rock, but the radio rolled me.
Yeah. That's the A side, not good. The Beat the Devil side B, that's the joint. That's the yeah. It's always the B side.
It's worth $1.99.
It's worth $2.
Yes.
Yes. You found this in Zaire, you'd be psyched.
So wait, did you go in, buy a copy, take it home, listen to it, and you remember that there was a second copy?
Beautiful World Syndicate had like a stack of 20 of them for $1.99 each.
Nice.
And I bought another one online. I was like, yeah. I'm like, I at least need 2 copies. I should get 10 and just hand them out. It's got some great changes in it too. It's like like early acid house piano shit. It has a questionable sax solo, but the rest of it comes back around. And the guy that's on keyboard, the only thing I could find about this, I can't think of his name right now, but he ended up doing a bunch of hits with a bunch of 80s, like, no, killer. Worked with Kool and the Gang on, like, Ladies Night and stuff.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
You need doubles just to extend this section, not have the... Come on. It's good, right? Back to the Mount Airy groove.
Yeah.
Woo. Chicago Acid House, 1985 piano.
Like there's so okay, like I got to start writing stuff down because there's like so many things that I thought about. Right. Well, there's so many things I thought about like as I was listening to that I have questions about too. Because also like I just recently started getting back into a lot of that kind of like 80s funk style stuff. Yeah. I just got this record, Errol Stubbs, which was like a really rare cassette that just got reissued from Tidal Waves Music on LP. And then there's another one from Karen Jones. She's from Philly too. That's a Philly record. Karen Jones from like 1984, and then there was another one. Don Blackman, which is another like super awesome.
The blue one where he's got the beads.
He's got the beads and everything. But Dennis Chambers is on that, and just like that like sound of that like real tight like compressed like bass and like that like 80s sound.
It's peak production era.
Yeah, and like it is peak production era, and like
83.
I wasn't into it for a long time, but then I started getting back into it.
Funny because there's a very specific years. It's like 81 to 85.
Yeah.
Like anything past 85, you don't fuck with.
Yeah.
Anyone before 81, it's disco. So it's
Right.
like, but you've got the Pinnacle, which is like Rising to the Top
Yeah.
by Kenny Burke, and then you've got like Hobgoblin by Bernard Wright. You've got those like standout tracks that really, and so it's boogie, right? And you had boogie, and then you had modern soul at the same time,
Yeah, but people don't know the 70s are over yet. Like disco isn't totally dead.
right?
But you've got like incredible, like peak recording, and you want to do the disco thing. Like everyone's still coked up, but like you want to do some fresh synthesizer action in it, and you're getting a little grown folk, you're getting a little older, you get the adult vibe in there, and that all together is like incredible.
Yeah, and it's almost like the precursor to smooth jazz.
Yeah, it goes downhill fast. It goes right off a cliff.
Oh, it goes right off a cliff quickly. Yeah.
And you're going to rehab and everywhere.
But when it hits, it's fucking groovy.
Oh, it's the shit.
It's funny
so
too
good.
because we were talking about CTI earlier, and I feel like that's where a lot of CTI like really quickly goes right off a cliff to like smooth jazz, and really it's because of the money. Like those guys were making George Benson was making so much more money.
I think it's the coke.
Well, that's it.
It's definitely that too. And also like multi-tracking. It's like, it's like Photoshop. You're just like, people they're like, oh, you want to add some more tracks to that? And that's,
I have the multis to Mount Airy Groove. It's 32 tracks. It's fucking insane.
because it sounds like the most stripped down song in a way, with, floating some, strings over it. But
No, it's Pieces of a Dream, which was kind of like three guys, Cedric Napoleon and two other guys that Grover Washington produced. And they were just Mount Airy guys, and they had like one hit, like minor kind of hit that propelled them, but then they had Mount Airy Groove, which turned into like one of those hip hop jams.
Man, that's what I love about this stuff is like how you can find all these different like quotes from different things. And where was this made?
It's New York. It's a New York record.
probably New York. Earth Tone, I think, is out of Ohio or something. But yeah, definitely. Well, it's saying recording company, New York, New York. So yeah, they're just cutting these for clubs and handing them out for, for DJs on the week.
For $1.99.
For $1.99 is there. Come on.
Where did you say that you picked that up again?
Beautiful World Syndicate. Shout out Beautiful World, South Philly. Yeah, that's a great place for 12-inch
Philadelphia music.
especially 12-inch Philadelphia music on Discogs. But if you want to go deep and cheap on like crazy collectible Philly 12-inch discos, they're like if you were in the UK, you could sell them for a fortune. They just have that stuff, and their grading is usually really great, and they're super cheap.
Nice.
At one point, they were the #1 seller on Discogs. They were
Super volume,
100,000 items.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
They were crazy.
That's awesome. All right. You want to continue on?
Yeah, let's do it.
You're
Keep
next.
going? All right. So I'm going to keep it going this time around with another new one. I like doing new artists too with this stuff. And I'm super into, of course, Daptone Records, but this is an imprint of theirs called Wick Records, which Wick Records is a like garage rock imprint of theirs. And I have not gotten too much into garage rock over the years, but again, these guys, like what I love about Daptone is their groove is always so good, and like they always still manage to pull the groove out of anything, and even this like garage stuff has a lot of that. But this group is called the Mystery Lights. This is called Purgatory, and this is their newest record, and it's called this Cerebral Crack vinyl. Pretty awesome looking, like a swirlish type thing. It's got two different colored sides on it, which is real sick. But yeah, check out the second track on this. So this is their third record. Their first record goes for pretty good money with the color variant out there. There's like an orange variant, and it also came with a flexi disc. And I've been trying to get the flexi disc. I've been trying to find like the full package with the flexi disc forever, but every person that has it on Discogs says no flexi. So it's like, original orange vinyl, no flexi, no flexi, no flexi. And I'm like, come on. But like, I just want to, which I probably would never even play the flexi, but it's like, I just want to have all of it together. And these guys, like, this label is pretty young. So this is, I think, the 9th. Yeah, this is Wick 009. So this is only the 9th record on the label at this point. And so I have all of them. So I'm trying to get like all of them. I also they have this one their first and second records are on cassette also. And there's another group called the Archaics, which are on there too. And there's another guy named Michael Ralt, which is on there too. So
this is new stuff.
Yeah, yes. This is brand new. Just came out. This record just came out like 2 months ago, a month ago.
What a gatefold. Like, this is what I love about records. It's like, I can stare at this for hours.
I have, yeah.
You're not going to get that off of Spotify or, a CD even. It's like,
and I think you'd appreciate that too with the.
I mean, that's great layout and design too, with the credits going through the.
Well, what's really cool is you've heard of Golden Mastering, JJ Golden Mastering. There's a quote in there that says "Send it to JJ." So it's like you can tell, like, after they're done, they're like, "All right, it's ready to go. Send it to JJ." All of Daptone's records have gotten pressed or have gotten mastered by JJ Golden. And what's really cool is Wick released the guy, Johnny Golden, had a group called Johnny's Uncalled For that was a garage rock group back in the 60s, and they never released their record. So they released it on Wick, and it just came out last year, and I just got that too.
No, they sounded good.
You gotta get the one you want. Bring me the fuzz. It's great, man. I didn't even know about their Wick label, imprint, or whatever. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, then the art too, the artwork, like the label artwork of their logo is super cool, and they do a lot of like, all that crazy collage looking stuff, and it's really awesome.
I mean, I've always loved everything that Daptone and Truth and Soul and now Crown Records, like. Anything that those guys are involved with, I'm on board with.
It's like one of the biggest things I do on this channel is like talk about them a lot.
We were talking about who did this sound, the underscore for the show and the theme song for Carl the Collector. The guitarist Vincent, he used to play in Lee Field's band. So they've got a whole Truth and Soul. Like, if you like Truth and Soul stuff, you'd love those dudes. They've done some amazing records. Yeah,
I think he wrote a song for them and then played in the band.
Legit, like, heavy players.
That is super cool.
And they've got a nice little studio. We should do a video with them. Yeah. I'll hit them up. Yeah. All right, so this has a story kind of behind it. It was $1.99, and then it went to Boscov's and it was 25 cents. I think it went down to $1 and then that 25 cents. So
did you get it at Boscov?
No. So, but the story, driving up to the Poconos with my family, going to meet friends at a house. We were spending a couple days up there, and literally on the way up, passing like Jim Thorpe or something. Who fucking called me? Loris called me. This guy Loris called me, and Loris said, "Yo, I'm in this town in the Poconos, and there's this massive, like, old department store or something building that they have to be out by the weekend, and they've got a whole room full of records." And I was like, I looked at, and it was on speaker, and my wife just looked at me, and she was like, I said, "Lars, it's funny. I'm driving up to the Poconos right now, like, total coincidence." And she said, "You can go." And I was like, yes. So I dropped them at the house, turned around, got back in the car, drove down to an hour away. It was like an hour distance from the house we were at. And I get there, and I have video of this that we can post. It is floor to ceiling, every single thing you can think of. 80s coloring books with cassettes in them, tons of clothes, furniture, everything. So they take me, the guy who's there takes me all the way through. He takes me upstairs in the back. And the first record I see kind of in the front of the pile was Galt McDermott's Exploding Hairband or something, like some crazy record. And it was sealed, dead stock copy. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Then I start flipping through. Everything is sealed. This was just like complete back stock.
Everything's dead stock.
And then he took me out in this other, he was like, this is where the majority of them are, but there's some around here. And I go around the corner and they had Cat in the Hat by, that was sampled by the Common. Common sampled them for The Light. They had 100 copies of it, 99 copies. And then at that point, it was like a $40 record. And I told the guy, I said, how much do you want for records? He was like $1 a piece. I said, I'll buy all 99 copies of this. Bobby Caldwell. I said, I'll buy all 99 copies, but you know, the price that I'm going to sell them for is going to drop drastically when they know I have 99 copies. So he gave them to me for 50 cents a piece. No way. And then in there, this was the one, there was 5 copies of this, or 6 copies, and this was the one that I had no idea what it was, but it looked great, right? It's got a cool cover that you would pick up. And then I fucking put it on, and it blew my mind. So the first song is really good, but put the second song on, please, which is a cover.
What is the name of this?
Jim Friedman Live. And this is recorded at a club in Reading.
Reading, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the Giraffe Cafe in Reading, PA.
Giraffe Cafe. I love the names of these places.
What you're going to hear is you're going to hear a cover of Greensleeves, which is almost like a traditional jazz tune, right? Oh, yeah. It's insane. It's the most...
Coltrane did, everybody.
There we go. Here's our clapping.
I love a good live record.
Yeah.
Contrary to popular opinion, that's what I go for first with like any artist that I really love. I'm like, give me the live one and see what they can do.
Wow.
Woo! That's the funkiest version of Greensleeves you ever heard in your life.
Seriously? Oh my god.
Dang.
Well, when I was listening to the podcast, you were talking about where you started collecting, and you said jazz and funk records, and that's what made me switch from like the lounge stuff, which was covers of, like, I've got some really awesome covers of songs from lounge records.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna do live versions of like funk and soul, like.
It's the best.
What year is this recorded?
It's gotta be the mid 70s, late 70s.
I mean, like the fidelity is so good.
Could be an 81.
Yeah,
Oddly enough,
could
but
be
the music
late.
sounds 70s.
Ooh. The bass.
This is like a solid like Ramsey Lewis trio cover, late 70s.
Awesome.
Damn, dude. You only had one copy of this?
I had 5. I sold 3. I kept 2.
Wow.
So I have this and another one.
Is this like gettable? No.
Dude, this is ridiculous.
Because I want it like bad.
Just keep an eye. I mean, put it on your want list. It pops up occasionally, but
Wow.
I was selling them like $100 a piece, and that was cheap.
Really?
Yeah.
You were selling them for $100 a pop, and you got them for 50 cents.
Yeah.
That's
Incredible.
fantastic.
Yeah. That was a good deal. I bought so many records that day that I couldn't fit our suitcases in the back of the car on the way home.
Oh my
The
God.
kids had to sit on the suitcases to come home.
That's amazing. That's a great story.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Oh my God, there they are. Wow.
Yeah, that was a good buy. I think I spent like $200, maybe $100. I don't know.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And actually good stuff.
Oh, yeah, here.
This is just like outrageous.
So this was some of the weird shit. Puka was great. Lee Dorsey was in there.
Oh, yeah.
That was the one I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, all sealed, all like.
It's outrageous. It's cool to know that that can happen because like Discogs has ruined the world, you know.
Yeah.
Sick drumming.
And what's really great is the song before this is an original tune where he literally, it's a second set, and he basically says, we're going to warm the band up. And he's like, drummer, give him some. And there's just a nasty drum break. And it goes, oh, there we go. There's the clapping.
That's real applause. Right
Yeah, that's
there.
real.
Oh, man.
Throw in towards like middle of this first song,
Yeah.
just because
Of the first?
when he starts ramping it up.
Is the drummer the singer or the...
I can't play. Does it say what he plays?
It says here,
The keyboardist?
drift upon drift fell in phase with the waves of giraffe conversation.
There you go. I guess because of that was the name of the place, right?
Well, there's a song on here called The Giraffe, too.
The other thing,
Yeah, it's like the giraffe music.
I love that Greensleeves is still listed as a 16th century English folk song after what we just heard. That's
It's technically true.
the
Guys, we're not paying, bro.
I forgot about that. I was let me see. Yeah, when he talks about every song down here. Greensleeves, this haunting and stately conversation between Fender Rhodes piano and fretless bass is full of contemplative power. Kenny Garrett's solo yearns elegantly for the legendary peaceful kingdom where love's never lost. Was Dauphine actually transformed into a rosewood tree? The bass tones here are uncommonly alive. Plangent harmonies in the ending serve as a benediction. Fucking trippy motherfuckers, man.
Awesome. That rules.
Yeah, this is a cool record. I was very
I just love Fender Rhodes, man. I just love
Or clavinet.
Yeah,
Fender
yeah.
clavinet, like anything.
whirly, but definitely.
So let me ask you this. Shrink wrap.
okay, so that was the sealed copy I had. I couldn't find my open copy, so I just opened the sealed one. And then my rule with shrink wrap is I usually take it off. 99% of the time I get rid of it. Unless it has a dope hype sticker or something.
I've come to keep stickers, like I'll cut them off and keep the stickers. But when it comes to old ones like that, where there's like an old Boskov sticker on it or something like that, it's like, but because the shrink wrap can start to like continue to shrink, you know?
And shrink wrap, if it's sealed factory, if for some reason moisture gets underneath it, it just stays there and ruins everything. So yeah, this I'll probably take off because it's just a generic $1.99 sticker. But I just opened it today because I was like,
Incredible.
you know, I couldn't find the. I had a friend, my friend Zach in San Francisco. No, he was in Seattle. Zach said, sealed records it's like throwing a baby in a casket. If you don't, that's how he said it. If you don't
let it breathe.
open it,
Yeah.
it's like throwing a baby in a casket. It's like, why are you buying silver? You're there to listen to the music. Why are you keeping them?
I do. I mean, I agree.
So the only time I keep them sealed, caveat, is if I have multiple copies. I'll keep one sealed, one open.
You're gonna eventually open it and play it when you know, for whatever reason you got rid of the other one or
So
whatever.
that's Jim Friedman.
Incredible.
I was just going through the archives at Drexel today, which has the Sigma archives. And they have 3x5 business cards of every single recording session that happened at Sigma. And I came across Jim Friedman, just says Jim Friedman with song titles, not these song titles. So maybe at some point he went into Sigma and recorded other stuff, but I don't know. I haven't done my research yet. But
That's cool.
But it would be cool to find him. I bet he's still alive. You know, this is you know, late 70s, early 80s. Yeah, that was a good find. I mean, that whole buy was just an experience, It was super fun. The video, which I'll find and show you guys, is insane. I mean, the place, and like, I'd say it was 30,000 square feet of just 3 floors of just so much stuff. Like old school jeans, like it was so massive and so much stuff. And he was like, I gotta be out by the weekend. I was like, what are you doing? He's just sitting there smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer. I got 18 wheelers coming up. All right, well, what's your third record?
It's a bit of a long tune, so hope you have some time, but this is a good example of like a killer record that is around and super cheap. Did not get the record store. I can't believe that anybody repressed this for Record Store Day. It's an amazing record, but it's around for cheap ass money. And I laughed when I saw it. Was like who is the guy that like decided that? Like, it's an amazing record. It's an amazing record for like maybe 500 people on Earth. Like, I don't know. And I'm one of those people. But I didn't know anything about it. And I was on a book tour through Pennsylvania like 10 or 12 years ago. And I went to this like random, it's like an intersection, wasn't quite a town, I still don't know where it is. And it was like a TV electronic repair place where they had like speakers and receivers. And I'm always like buying old stuff. And I go in there and it's, it's just some old heads that are, there's nothing there to buy. But they have this one shelf of records. And I'm like, oh, what is this? And like, it just said everything's $5. And they had one crate of like the worst, just
Glenn Miller's.
Overpriced, like mainstream prog, just like Yes records and Jethro Tull records, that were like way overpriced what they should be because they're like, this guy loves these records or whatever. And he had this shelf and he had probably like 300 or 400 copies of this record sealed on the shelf for $5 each. And I had never
100 copies?
Yeah. Probably like 3 or 4 rows of it. Oh my God. And I had never actually seen the record before, but it's called Larry Coryell Fairyland. And the subtitle is A Place of Delicate Beauty and Magical Charm. And it's got this amazing painting on it. I was like, okay. And then I saw it was like Flying Dutchman series, like not the, straight Flying Dutchman, but like an offshoot. And as it turns out, it's on these like flimsy mega disc or whatever.
I have a couple of those.
But it's, the reason I ended up getting it, and I didn't know a lot about Larry Coryell, it's 1971, and he's live at the Montreux Jazz Fest with Chuck Randy on bass and Bernard Purdy on drums. And I'm going to play this first song, Soul's Dirge, which is like, it's like Larry Coryell's best idea of being like Band of Gypsies. Like Jimi Hendrix has just died, and he's feeling that. And I feel like, I don't know any of the history. This is me making stuff up, but I feel like, those guys are great session guys, and they just end up playing with him at the Montreux Jazz Fest, and they're not like touring together or anything like that. So I feel like they're just playing along, and he's doing the thing, and he kind of disses them at the end of the track, which is kind of hilarious. And he sings on it, but once he shuts up, and he doesn't play as many notes. Like when I listen to it, I mainly listen to it for the rhythm section. They're just doing these amazing patterns around everything he's playing. What he's playing is cool, but it's so incredible and so fluid and elastic that it's one of the greatest things of all time.
It's just a trio, right?
Yeah.
Is the Mega like a repress label? Like, did that come out on something else and then?
That's what I was looking at. In the first pressing of this is Mega. Okay. I think Flying Dutchman just like did some kind of deal with them, and it's like almost a flexi disc. Yeah, so yeah,
it's so funny.
Super thin 70s, like we don't have a lot of oil disc.
It's funny. One of the first records I ever got was Santana 3, and I got one of it was a killer record. But it's one of those super, like when I pulled it out of the case, like it was like almost bends. And I got this when I was, first started collecting, didn't know anything about records, and I thought that maybe like a thing was that you peeled off Like, I was like, somebody must have had to peel this thing off. It's so thin. I'm like, I never felt a record that thin before. I'm like, they must have had to peel this off to make it sound better or something. I'm like, that's what it feels like.
During those gas rationing era, they had to make super thin records. It was just too expensive. You know, it's an oil product. It's a petroleum product.
I never even thought about
What's that?
Dynaflex was a result of that.
Right.
Those early New Birth records.
But anyway, this is just a killer record.
And you posted this on your Instagram. What's your Instagram's Fuzzy Town?
Fuzzy Town
right?
is my Instagram, and I'll in my stories I'll put up different records I'm just listening to that morning, or they might thematically have something to do with the day or whatever if I'm being really artsy. But usually it's just like whatever I'm playing that morning, feeling the vibe. But yeah, this is just a killer record, and this is a record that I've come across since then. And every time I find it, maybe for $7-8, I just buy it and hand it to someone that I know is going to love it because it's just killer.
Do you your creative process? Do you come in here in the morning and just randomly pick a record, or what's your?
Yeah, that's like the first thing I come in and like, you know,
Coffee in hand,
and just like what? Yeah, exactly. Barefoot or slippers, and maybe I'll do a little yoga stretching or something. Maybe not. Maybe put on a little Lonnie Liston Smith and light some, you know, incense or whatever, and like get ready for the day before I tackle the emails. That's, you know, even though, you know, I do art for a living, it's like all that, you know, this, like, it's like whatever it is you're doing for love, it's still a lot of business, you know, and so yeah, but I'll listen, you know, depending on like where I am on a project, I might, you know, I'll listen to records, you know, 12 hours a day, and, you know, until like maybe if I'm writing, I can't really listen to as much things, but if I'm, you know, if I'm drawing and doing all that kind of stuff, like I always have records on. I'm just going record to record pretty much, you know, every day, 12 hours a day, unless I get sick of it and I start listening to podcasts and I'm like, okay.
Right.
But it always comes back to just records like this. Yeah. Awesome. That's straight Band of Gypsies right there. I can play, but it's like
leave it
sometimes.
alone. Yeah.
But the
All I'm listening to are the drums and the bass.
exactly. It's the best drum and bass you've ever heard in your life. Yeah.
Like the guitar's there,
Yeah.
and it's like I
But
feel like it's there to like keep other people like.
Yeah. Exactly.
It almost sounds like they were arguing right before this came on.
Well, I'm gonna play I won't play the next tune, but just before he starts it, he disses them.
That's what you said. I want to hear that.
And Purdy gives him a little like, you know, you know, it's fucking incredible. You're like, you diss them after that? Dude, throw that guy off the stage. Break all of his fingers.
Yeah, it sounds like they're in two different concerts.
Yeah.
Like,
listen to this. It's amazing. Like, they just played that, and he has this to say, and you're like, fuck you, dude.
Thank you very much. That tune was entitled Struggles Gloom. It didn't come out the way we were supposed to do it in the rehearsal, but that's jazz. This next tune is entitled...
Wow. Damn.
I mean, hey.
Bernard Purdy's like, nah.
You have the balls to, you know, say that to Bernard Purdy and Chuck Rainey, and on the Montreux Jazz Festival,
Seriously,
you know,
like,
stage.
That's what I mean. Like that's live, and like that's not how we rehearsed it. You're like, what? Like,
Clearly,
but that's jazz.
wow.
Anyway, $5 fine, good one.
That is
Pass on a lot of people.
And you're right. That one's so it's reissued on pink and white marble with an OB strip that came out in Record Store Day 2022, and they did 2,000 copies of it. Yeah. So and right now they're on Discogs for like $12.
They started at 35.
It's a market for 500 people tops.
Yeah. And it's funny, right? And
But
they
I
made
recommend
2,000
it.
of them, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if somebody kind of deep dives and knows what happened. There's got to be video of that if it's Montgomery.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I'd love to see that. And I have to say, like the rest of the record, I barely listen to. I don't love it, but that tune alone is worth the $5. And the diss at the end, you're like, oh, I can't believe this is happening.
And I can't. Well, it's crazy to me too how much like where Bernard Purdie shows up on things. Like from he's just on he's on so many things. I mean, it's so awesome. And like his sound, like that snare sound and that hi-hat sound is like so distinctive. Yeah. So it's just awesome shit.
Yeah, and Chuck Rainey too, and the two of them together on so many things. It's like.
All right, what do you got?
Yeah, that was awesome, man. So so this is another one that is kind of similar to, I guess the Daptone thing, but this is Soulfire Records. Sure. But this is a reissue on Soulfire Records from Deluxe. And I want to play, really the side 2 is the really good one, but one of the reasons why this is one of the first records that got me going onto a deep dive of a label. And this Soulfire Records was like the first label deep with this. And this was one of the first ones I got. And this is from a group called Overnight Low. And I love that name. I think it's like one of the greatest band names ever, Overnight Low.
So is Deluxe the original, and then
so I think
Soulfire put it back out at some point?
I guess Soulfire so I think like the first 5 45s on Soulfire Records, because one of them is an Herb Johnson settlement, and another one is from the Soul President from Big Mac from I think it's the Big Mac label, or maybe it's just Mac label. I'm not sure, but the first 5 records on Soulfire are like reissues. And then they started doing like Lee Fields, and they started doing JD and the Evil's Dynamite Band and all these other ones.
Soulfire Gabriel Roth and all the guys?
So Soulfire, I think, is Philip Lehman. Philip Lehman definitely started Soulfire, and I think Gabriel Roth is involved with it, but I think it's actually more Leon Michaels too. I think it's actually like, because I think from the ashes of Soulfire comes Truth and Soul Records, and then from that goes into Big Crown.
Where was Dakaras or whatever that?
The Dactares? That was on Desco Records.
Okay, so that was like another...
There is definitely a Desco Soulfire connection.
Yeah, Desco was definitely Gabriel Roth's, and then I think Gabriel Roth, because remember when we met Lee Fields, he was saying it was Gabriel Roth and Philip Lehman, these two like teenagers that asked him to come and record with him or whatever. And so Philip Lehman, I think, is who, because Daptone kind of went more of like a slicker, I don't even want to say a slick sound because it's still pretty dirty, but like
Northern Soul
Soulfire
kinda,
is like real dirty, like Soulfire, especially with like JD and the Evil's Dynamite Band and like some of that stuff, it's like real, like the bass drum is like rah, 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 like just awesome shit. I actually have another 45 of theirs called the Soulfire Educational Drum Series, and it's like literally they're like, and they come on, they're like track 1 beep, and then it's of 20 seconds of a drum beat. But this one here, so we'll listen. See, I want you to listen to the first track, but the second track's real sick too. But let's just listen to the first one, because the first one's just a straight funk banger. Yeah, the A side. Yeah, the A side on that one.
You have a 45 adapter? Yeah, okay.
It's just a straight funk, like, and like this is like the rawest. This is called The Witch Doctor.
Oh, okay, yeah, I've heard this.
Oh, you've heard this?
Yeah, this is cool.
You probably heard the original.
Is this the place where a lady lives with the jungle fever?
Yeah. Who ordered the jungle fever?
Tell her His Majesty the Witch Doctor's here!
One where he's hanging on the stairs or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, it has that vibe. I love like heavy gut bucket funk like that, where someone is like just talking over it and being cool. I'm a sucker for that shit.
In the beginning there, where he's just like, where's that lady with the jungle fever? Like and it's funny because I feel like this really inspired them, because later on, I mean, like the stuff that they start making right after this almost sounds exactly like this. And then there's a 45 that Leon Michaels put out. I actually talked to Tom Brennick about it, and it's called the Reindeer Runners, and like it literally just sounds like they pulled some dude off the street and they're talking to him about like, some dirty shit while he's, but it's a Christmas record. And so like, it's like, well, Santa Claus, like, and it just sounds like this, you know what I mean? It's great.
That's the best.
Do you guys know Quintron and Miss Pussycat by any chance? Do you know who they are?
I know of them, but
So Quintron he's from Chicago originally. He was a drummer in a punk band, and apparently he like had enough and he just said, fuck this. He moved to New Orleans and he like swore off drums, but the way he did it was he built himself what's called the drum buddy, which is this cylinder that spins like an old-timey cylinder player,
Right.
and he's got light in the inside of it that shines out in every
like one of those player pianos. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, like the player
cylinder,
piano, but he's got like a big one and it spins around. He sells them for $999.99, and that's his bass, that's his drum for his set. Now he plays piano over that, and then while his wife Miss Pussycat does a puppet show. And it's this most insane fucking duo.
I just love that he swore off drums.
Yeah, he just said,
like
fuck that.
That's the,
he said,
like
fuck
the
that.
fact that you said that is like,
and then
he swore off drugs. Like,
He built
air.
himself. He built himself a drum buddy that like he takes around and sets up. But anyway, he did across the street from his house in New Orleans. I used to live right near him. There was Lee's Tire Shop, and Lee's Tire Shop is famous. It's this old black dude. And it has this one sign that says like no hustling, no this, that, and the other, no kitty cats selling or something like that. So like no hooking on the street. Right. And so Quintron went over and got Mr. Lee to come back to his studio, and they recorded a song together called The Tire Shop. And that's what it is. It's like this funky kind of like drum buddy and him playing organ with Mr. Lee kind of just talking over it the whole time. It's incredible. Wow. It's really good. So that's my long-winded story. Into my next long-winded story. All right, so I have 2 copies of this record, and there's a reason for it.
Doubles are whack, though. That's what I learned from you.
doubles are whack.
So this was the first copy I got, and this has a piece of masking tape across the front that says Darby's Own.
Nice.
Right? On sale here, $3.98. Special, Nice. So this is pretty incredible. This is Richard H. Ellis at PMC College in Chester, PA. PMC went on to be Widener.
Oh wow, I was gonna say PNC. Does that even exist anymore?
Yeah. So it's Philadelphia or Pennsylvania something college. It's now the Widener is where it is. Richard Ellis, who I'm assuming is this guy right here, the black dude in front of everybody, plays piano. He kind of orchestrated the entire record, and I fell in love with like one certain track on this when I found it. And then after looking into it a little bit more, I noticed that it was on Nice Productions. And for years, my wife's grandmother lived in a building called the Philadelphian downtown on the Parkway. And her neighbor was Michael Nice, N-I-S-E. And I was like, I know this guy's name. And I started talking to him. We became friends. And turns out he and his dad had a record company throughout the 50s, 60s, and 70s. His dad was actually the engineer who recorded Fantasia. So Fantasia was the first movie that was done in Hollywood, but they streamed it over to the Academy of Music, where Eugene Ormandy played the score, and Mike Nice's dad, Frank Nice, was the guy who recorded that. So then he went on to record all kinds of stuff. Mike Nice worked at Cheney University. He did everything. He did psych, he did funk, he did garage, he did all these crazy records that I've since become friends with him, to the point where he's let me into his storage and I've taken 1 copy of every single record that he has. So that's the second copy, is Mike Nice's copy of the Richard Ellis record. And so the cool thing about this, and this goes back to today being the day that it is, this is a late 60s, like completely unknown. This isn't even online. I'm gonna make a video. By the time we release this, I'll have a video for it. Freedom and Justice. So it's interesting for a couple different reasons. It's like a late 60s freedom song. Like you could imagine freedom marchers and all that stuff. It's recorded in like drums, like rhythm section on one side and vocals on the other. So it's got an interesting, I actually wanted to drop it to mono to see if they would kind of level out a little bit. I think for the YouTube video, I'm gonna bump up the vocals a little bit. But it's just, you know, total amateur, total, you know, just groove. That's killer on this. So that's my lead up to it. Awesome. Darby's own.
Incredible. Darby's own, like as in like Darby.
Darby, PA. Yeah.
Darby, PA. Yeah, wow. And not Upper Darby either, just Darby.
And it's funny, it's really amateurish, and the drummer takes a couple bars to actually hit the groove in the very beginning. He's like, he stumbles into it.
Let's hear it.
There you go. Now he's on it.
He's got a great voice.
Yeah. And there's a pretty weak attempt in the middle of like a conga breakdown. I love the amateurness of it. I love the rawness of it. And then the message, of course, is great. Justice for us. And also, it's really weird because the vocals are way over on one side. So I think when I put it online, I am going to do a mono version of it. And I might try to beef it up a little bit.
Yeah, so they record everybody in the corner, so next person can just come up to the mic or something.
And just...
Feels like a good, like, storefront church recording.
Yeah.
You're like walking by on a Sunday all hungover and hear that coming through and be like, damn, I should be in there right now.
The conga player is holding it down. What's his name? Weepy Green.
Leafy Green, is that his name?
Weepy.
Oh, okay. Weepy Green. Nice.
Oh, here we go. Here's our... Oh. Oh, they left them all alone.
Like, okay, man, do your thing.
Oh, here goes. So I think this is the whole audience, like...
Now the band's locked in.
Yeah.
This is locked in right here. Now they're playing with Johnny Hathaway. They're like, let's do this.
They just fall apart. Yeah, there's the clapping, yeah.
Great. That's killer.
Yeah, that was cool.
I think that was great.
I think I meant to give you stuff before, but that's for
shit.
you.
Awesome. You got the
Thank you.
1984.
Oh, man. Sweet.
Here's a... Did you get one of these?
Nice.
I did not.
So this
A
was
York Street
Power of
Hustle
attorney,
CD.
hell yeah.
Yeah, so this was York Street Hustle. Doug is in this group.
Yeah.
Brendan, the bass player, and
Hayden Wright, the sax player.
Sure.
Yeah.
so I did a EP with them. Obviously, the lead singer wrote "Cruelty," Ryan. Brendan wrote All Beak, which is really dope. And then There's Nothing Better Than Love has been picked up on the lowrider circuit. It's by the Magic Tones from Detroit. And we did a really great cover of it. And then we did like a funky instrumental of it.
Nice. Awesome. Well, this was a very, I mean, dude, we could sit here for hours in this place. Like, even as I'm just looking around here, like, I could sit here and just talk to you for hours. Like, so I don't want to keep you any more time for this evening. But I mean, I do really appreciate you letting us come in here, check out your cool set. I'm very excited to show my kids the show. So when is that show on PBS?
It's Carl the Collector. It comes out November 14th, next Thursday. It'll be on every day, and it's also be available streaming on Amazon and the PBS app, PBS Kids, and like Roku and all that kind of stuff all at the same time.
Yeah, and we'll link to it in the description here too, so you can get right to it from here also. But I'm very excited to know somebody that's making real cartoons and stuff. That's
real
super
cartoons.
cool. And like another time I'll have to come back and just talk to you about that process, about like, because I'm sure that you were probably very heavily involved in like the actual, the animation creation and everything.
A lot with the characters and the stories and the world of it. I don't animate, so like I learned all the behind the scenes of like TV production and animation production that I had no idea. It's been almost a 10-year process, so it's been
overnight
grad
success.
school. Yeah.
All right, well, again, thank you so much for letting us come in here. Your Instagram is Fuzzytown, so you can go follow him at Instagram, and definitely go check out the TV show, and definitely subscribe to this channel. And if you like this video, you're probably gonna like some others on the channel here, like these ones here. Go check those out, and we'll see you guys on the next one. All right, cool.
Bring the people together. What can make this world so much